So we've got the guys from TinkerGarden here, and we're going to go through a lot of things about the TinkerGarden moss pole. Stick around and you'll see why it's a great pole, how it can benefit your plants, and a few tips and tricks as to how you can use it. But I've got them here to answer all of your questions, and we're going to have a little bit of a demo at the end of the video, so you want to stick around. Well, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Yes, I am Hendrik, and I am, I guess, the engineer of the team.
Oh yeah, you're the brains behind the whole thing.
I'm the brains, kind of. At the start of COVID in 2020, Sunny started to buy a lot of plants,
As
many of us.
Most of us did, yes.
And of course, they needed moss poles. And we tried like different concepts. We did them ourselves. We bought some pre-made ones, and they were just not right. So we had to come up with something better.
Yeah.
So we thought there must be a better way, which is just easier to use and easier to assemble, if at all. I started to like design kind of a moss pole and showed it to Sunny, and yeah, from there we started.
Right.
So I'm Sunny. Yeah, so basically I've been growing plants for a long time. So ever since I was like 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so in the last few years during COVID, I actually moved into more arrow growing that needs climbing moss poles. And so what I found was when I did it myself, it actually took a long time, or sometimes it actually dries out and I can't really re-wet it.
Yep.
Not stable plants. I need something simple, easy, convenient. Especially extension ability to make it very easy to extend it. Most of us use sphagnum as the main substrate in our poles. And so it becomes hydrophobic when it's very dry and it's almost impossible to re-wet. And so we've also designed something called a watering cup so that it actually drip feeds into the moss pole.
Okay.
And so it re-wets much easier.
Cool.
And you can even put nutrient solution into it.
For me, I think the cup just really gives it a whole other dimension. What is this item made out of? It looks like it's plastic and...
It is actually plastic, but because we are all plant growers, so we are also usually very conscious of environment problems, and we don't want to create too much additional plastic. So this plastic is actually made from cornstarch, so it's like a renewable kind of plastic, and it's biodegradable.
Really?
It won't degrade in your pots, but when you bring it to specialized composting facilities, then it breaks down completely.
Right.
The only thing not biodegradable is the back plastic.
The
so
little
this one here.
sheet.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is also completely recyclable.
Right. Okay. So you're really wanting to make it as environmentally friendly as you possibly could.
The thing is, we are aware it's plastic.
Yeah.
But when you do 3D printing, there are only certain materials you can use.
Why does it cost so much?
Well,
And of course, when I say so much, that is very much personal perspective. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but I think most people think it costs a lot.
It costs a bit of money, definitely, but you have to keep in mind it's kind of well, not really a homemade product, but it's like an artisan product. So when you buy,
it is homemade, isn't it?
It is homemade.
I mean,
yes.
you make it.
We make it at
You
home.
make it.
For example, when you buy an artisan bread, yes, it costs $10, and people are not complaining.
Yeah.
And when you buy a bread at Woolies or in Coles, it's only $2.
Yeah.
And the reason for this is because it's mass produced.
Yeah.
And this is something we don't do, at least not at the moment, because we just don't have the scale. So mass production, yes, in the end it might be cheaper per item, but the initial investment is so high. As a small business, you just can't afford it.
You're not there yet.
Exactly.
So your costing of the item is really your time, your skill, and what it actually costs to make.
The printers, the plastic, the electricity, it all adds up. And you
Also with the costing factor, there's also a patent involved with it.
Right.
And also the actual printing time and the wastage time. All this is actually factored in, and there's only a very small team, both Hendrik and myself, actually working on this. This is actually...
And this is not your day job.
This is not our day jobs either. So
I would love to. But
Yeah, you're
we
not
want
there
it
yet.
to be a creative product that actually we can sort of be different to what's on the market right now and make it more suitable and tailored for plant purposes, because a lot of the times, yes, you can buy it off Alibaba or somewhere else where it's actually mass produced, but they didn't think about the end user and how tailored it is for our plants itself.
Yeah.
And because I'm also the grower at TinkerGarden, so I can actually see when the plants thrive well or not thrive well, and I will actually make those changes with Hendrik along
Yeah.
with my engineer to actually.
So you're testing and producing at the same time,
yes.
and you're getting direct feedback from someone who's actually using it and how the item works with the plants.
Exactly, and that's a real advantage when you do 3D printing, because you can iterate so fast. When you do, for example, mold injection, you have to create a new mold every
mold.
time. You pay like $50,000 every time. You make a little change. Whereas 3D printing, you change the 3D model in the computer program,
Yeah.
and then you print it and you test it out.
And that's it.
That's it.
You're basically providing this service because you believe in it,
Yes.
and you believe it's a product that will help some people. Maybe not all people, because maybe not everyone can afford it right now, but the concept is sound.
Yes, exactly.
I like that. A lot of people love your product, but they all like, can I buy it? Do you ship to Canada? Do you ship to America? Do you ship to Antarctica? Where do you ship?
For the last, I think, 4 weeks or so, we actually now send everywhere. We send globally.
Everywhere?
Yes, everywhere. Not sure about Antarctica, but the rest of the world, yes.
What's the shipping cost like?
I mean, we don't make up the shipping costs.
Exactly,
We
yep.
ship via Australia Post usually, and they keep increasing the prices, unfortunately,
yeah.
like everything. But the shipping costs are higher than domestic, of course, and it depends on where in the world you ship to.
Yeah.
But I think for most people, they're still affordable.
Yeah. Basically, you're not making like 50% off the shipping.
We don't make anything of the shipping. So the shipping costs you pay are the shipping costs. from
It's
Australia.
directly linked to the
Yes.
postage, and
Yes,
that's what you
exactly.
pay. So no one is scalping anyone on shipping.
No.
So people say, right, this is all fabulous, but it's pretty small. It's very thin. The surface area that the plant has to work with is very, very small. What's your take on that?
I haven't really had many issues because a lot of our aroids that we grow generally are more on the smaller side, especially if you're growing indoors, because they generally, you would want a feature plant indoors. Take this for example.
Yeah.
This is a Monstera laniata variegata. This is actually 3 tinker totems, and it actually is quite a nice feature plant. If you want it for a really, really big plant, you might have to go to something that's a much bigger totem. Our initial designs with this particular moss pole is to have it as an aesthetically appealing and functional totem.
So this one is a variegated plant. It looks really nice. It's got that black background, and once this plant gets bigger, even now, it's just really shining. All you can see is the plant, and you don't have the wires and the...
That's the whole idea, yes.
Yeah.
Because the important thing is the plant and not the moss pole.
The important thing is the plant.
The
and not
moss
the
pole is
pole.
only to help the plant to actually grow upright. If you can kind of hide the moss pole behind the plant, the plant is even more visible.
Right, so that's really the concept
Yes,
behind
yeah.
the aesthetic of that. Okay, I'm gonna throw something at you guys. So this is great. I love it. So I hear everything that you guys are saying. It looks beautiful as it is. But when I make my poles, I love to have 2 plants going on there. I'm not sure if I've got 2. I think I've only got 1 on here. But I love to have 2 plants. And the reason I like to do that is, instead of having this one plant that's got a leaf there, a leaf there, a leaf there, I'd like to have another plant that's got other leaves there. And that just really hides the pole very well, because you've just got leaves everywhere. And I think that's where that person who asked about it being so narrow was coming from as well, because I would like to have another plant next to this one, and that just goes all the way up. And then of course, because as we know, the higher up a plant grows, the thicker the stem becomes, right?
Yeah.
So if the plant is getting thicker and thicker and thicker, where are they gonna go? So I think, in short, what I'm trying to say, and I think what the person was trying to say is, can we have a wider TinkerGarden?
We are actually working on this one at the moment because you're not the first one asking for this. And
Because people like to have more than one plant on the pole.
Yes.
Maybe not you, Sunny.
But yeah, we are working on this. It's not ready yet.
Yeah.
We can probably come back once we have the product ready, but it is coming.
So one of the things that's really fun about having a plant growing on a moss pole is that it can grow really big, and it grows and grows and grows. Like some of these, I've got this one. This is my, what is it? Epipremnum golden ivy. I actually chopped this plant because it was all the way up to the ceiling, and I started again, and it was fairly easy to do. Tell me about how you can do that when you're using a TinkerGarden.
So if I was actually to make this into 2 plants, all I need to do is cut it where it's actually air layered, and you can easily remove the roots because...
All right, hang on. I'll stop you right there. What do you mean air layered?
Air layering is when the moss pole is actually a substitute for a tree. So basically when it's got aerial roots, it will dig into the substrate, and in which case I've put sphagnum and perlite in here. And so when you actually find some roots that's attached into the moss pole, you cut it to the point where you think, okay, that can create a new root base. And then the best thing about the totem is we actually have legs. And so basically you can put new legs back in.
On each point.
Yes. And then take off the tip and put it back into a new pot. And there you go.
You've got a new plant.
plants.
Okay, so
And both can be extended as well.
if I understand what you're saying correctly, when you've got your plant growing on this moss pole, the aerial roots dig into the sphagnum moss.
Yes.
Which is what we want when we've got a plant on a moss pole. And when those aerial roots dig in there, they're growing inside the moss.
Yes.
Right? So you've got like huge banks of roots in there
Yes.
at the back. And those also sustain the plant.
Yes.
Right? So if I decide, look, I want my plant to be this size, and I'll chop it here, and those roots are in there, this plant at the top can actually survive without the roots at the bottom.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
That is pretty cool. Right, so if you're really loving this video, guys, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel, please. The Tinker Gardens are really awesome. If you're interested in getting one, please see the link in the description below. And don't forget, there's a code. You can get 15% off using the Leca Queen code. Link is in the description. Code is in the description. All right, now we are going into the fun part of today. Promise something really good for my philodendron pink princesses. I've got 2 of them.
What other better way than to actually have a pink totem for a pink princess?
Oh my gosh, it's big! It's big! Oh,
There we go.
look at that! Look at how glorious that is going to look. That, oh my gosh, it's got an extension too.
The attachable
Goodness.
watering cup.
That's the cup. That is the icing on the cake, people. That's just awesome.
Yeah, we'll show you how to actually easily fill these poles in.
Fantastic. I'm going to have the experts themselves build my pole. And we are today using this sphagnum moss and tree fern fiber combo like I like.
So when you buy one of our moss pole sets, the first thing you should do is remove the legs. Pretty easy. It's all in one bundle.
Right.
Just take them out
Okay.
like this and like this. So there are 3 of them. Then the important thing is you also remove the what we call a bundle holder, which is the yellow part. Okay, so then once your totem is unpacked, you remove the plastic back and then you just start filling it with some sphagnum
So
moss.
once the back is open, it's actually very easy to access. And you basically just put in the moss and the tree fern fiber.
Or whatever you're using.
Yeah,
Because you can use whatever you want.
and just pack it.
So this is, you can see, that's still quite a good spring to it still. It's not, no.
Yeah.
So once you filled all your sphagnum moss into the moss pole, you just slide on the plastic
Right.
sheet again,
Okay,
just like this.
that's pretty clever.
Easy.
Yeah.
And you're done. You're
Right.
ready to go.
So you need to add the legs.
So the first thing you do is you put a small pin in,
Okay.
like this.
So what does that pin do?
It's just adding additional stability. So once the pin is in, you just then slide the leg in and
So
down.
the leg goes into the main body, but it also slots into the pin.
Yes,
so it's
exactly.
got like 2 points of connection.
Yes.
I did not see how you put that top on.
Oh, really? It's basically putting the same pins on. And it's also recessed between the 2 poles.
And I guess it's a no-brainer as to what direction it should go, isn't it?
Yeah. There's some people want to actually make it really long. And so in our 2.0 update, we've created additional holes at the back. These holes you can put through cable ties.
One of the things I always teach people to do is if you're even thinking that you're going to be extending your moss pole at any point in its life, it's better you put some cable ties at the back so you can add some support. And that's what I did. I've got my cable ties back here that when this gets longer, I'll be able to put my metal rod back there and it will make it just that more stable. So that's what I did. And you've got one, haven't you, where you've done that?
Yeah, so basically these are our original versions, but I've added the 2.0. This has the holes in it. And so you can see the cable tie is actually helping support the plant because I've put a little metal rod behind it and just give that extra stability when you do go higher and higher.
Yeah.
Additionally, these two base holes, you can actually cable tie to the pot itself to give it even more stability.
Right, yep.
So you can even lift it if you want.
All
using the
right,
poles.
but when you're making this, you need to remember to put those cable ties in, because if you don't, it is a bit of a pain to get them in after the fact. I'm just saying, guys.
It is doable.
It's doable, but it's a pain. It's so hard, which is why I put mine in. I don't need it right now. No one can see them. When you look at it, no one can see them.
So this is the watering cup. Because it is adjustable, it's got a little triangular knob.
Okay, so that's it. Closed?
Yes.
Yes, and it is a lot slower.
Right, okay, so it's never completely stopped.
No. Because we don't want it clogging, otherwise then it will never drip
Okay,
out.
so it never completely stops.
It never
only
completely
stops when
stops.
there's nothing in there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we want it to empty out so that it actually goes into your moss pole. So if you use nutrient solution or if you use water, it absorbs by the moss pole itself.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you want it to be fully empty.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the difference between when it's full and it's just really going in slowly. And so especially if you're using sphagnum moss, which tends to be hydrophobic, that just gives it time to just absorb slowly without getting water as solution everywhere.
Definitely. So when you place it on top, it becomes a very attractive feature plant that occasionally every week when you water, just fill it up and off you go.
I am now going to do my thing, guys, if you don't mind.
Yes.
I am going to put up my plant and attach it to this gorgeous pot. So first thing I'm going to do is take this one out of the Leca. And the big mama over here. So I like to put my plants on the pole before I put it in the pot, because I think it works better that way. And this is the part of the plant that's going to be in the pot, right?
Yes.
Where the legs are. So I'll put that over there, and then I'll get my other one. That looks really good. I know you guys love it. I believe in the product. It's really, really great. And if you love it, I highly encourage you to buy one. If you're convinced to buy one, use my code LECAQueen15 and you can get 15% off. It's a no-brainer. But for those of you who think, well, maybe this is a bit too expensive for me right now, you can still make your own moss pole. Watch this next video where I show you how you can make a moss pole that kind of works like this one. It doesn't have a cup. It's not as fancy, but still works. I'll see you there.